Hi, I'm Paul from VeloX. Come and join me to find out how my 9-year-old Brompton is getting on in life. Are there any issues with it, what condition it's in, and does it need anything doing to it? Also, find out about another upgrade I'm doing to this beautiful beast, and why do I have my old seat post on the bike? Let's go. So I've had this Brompton P6R for almost 10 years. Some of you may know that from our other videos, and it's featured quite heavily because it's my only Brompton. Sarah's recently got a B75, but I've had it. It's had heavy use at points in its life. I bought it in Glasgow and it got a lot of use all through the year commuting to work, and I had to go out and about, so lots of train uses going all through winter. It's done a lot of touring, so it's spent most of its life on kind of salty roads, but it's always been looked after, serviced regularly, and always cleaned. It's never had loads of muck and stuff on it for an extended period of time. I'm not super precious with it, but I've always made sure that nothing's kind of sat on it, especially because it's a raw lacquer finish, and it's an older raw lacquer finish, so you do get a patina through the paintwork if you don't keep on top of it. So let's have a look about what I've done to the bike over this almost 10-year period, what is going to be done on it soon, and the cheeky little upgrade that's going to happen, as if I need another upgrade on a bike that I've upgraded lots. So as mentioned, the bike's been serviced and cleaned regularly, so keep that in mind when we're looking at the bike, because I've seen Bromptons in a lot worse state when they've not been looked after, or they've been used heavily throughout like a whole winter, and they've just not been cleaned, chucked in the garage, used the next day, chucked in, used the next day, and they do suffer. This Brompton has had the wheels rebuilt once. So these are the second rims that have been on this bike, keeping the hubs, the front hub and the rear hub. The front hub's in good condition. I had to replace the left side cone because it was pitted. That's in good condition and still produces light because it's a dynamo. These rims are getting a bit concave, so I reckon I can get through the winter on them, but next year definitely they're going to need doing. But I'll do them in the summer, so when I build them, just to give them a nice, easy entrance into the world rather than building them in winter. The hub is good to go. That's almost 10 years old. One of the pulls, which are little bits of metal that are on springs that spring out to engage into teeth to let you drive the bike, one of them is a little bit lazy. So when I do the wheel, I will take that apart and give that a little bit of love. What else? It's had a new bottom bracket. So the Bromptons come with a FAG bottom bracket. I've replaced this with a Shimano sealed bottom bracket. That's still good to go. Various brake pads. It's had one rear hinge pivot. Now, this is this bit here. It's a copper bush with like a nylon insert, and it has to be fitted ideally from a Brompton dealer or someone that really does this kind of work. It's had one in the past, and it's due its second one. So that will link into what I'm having done on the bike, which we'll talk about in a while. So that needs doing. I've upgraded the spring, I've changed the seat post, and we'll talk about why the original seat post is back on the bike in a minute. I've also upgraded the wheels to the Brompton Easy Rollers. I did that very kind of one of the first things, one of the upgrades I did, just because the other ones were a bit too small. So they've been good. They've been on there probably 8 years, 9 years. Tyres have been upgraded from the Brompton stock ones to the Schwalbe Marathon Plus. They give me no bother at all. They're brilliant. Dynamo lights still working. The bar tape, these are the P bars. They came with like a squishy type old school kind of cover. It's like a foam. I didn't replace it with that because actually it's easier to fit just standard bar tape that you would have from a road bike. This is a Chinelli bar tape. It's like a leather effect. It's really nice, and that's really stood the test of time. Generally, it's been really good. Let's talk about the frame. So the frame itself, we're going to ignore the back triangle because that does have some bits of patina on it, so kind of rust marks which come through on the raw lacquer finish. The main frame and forks are actually in really good condition. There's a little bit of surface rust in the seat tube, which is to be expected. Brompton frames are treated, so if you do get a little kind of bit of surface rust, it's not a problem. I did clean that out the other day because as my titanium seat post was going in up and down, you could kind of hear it rubbing on it. So I've done that, and that's been really good. The actual inside of the main frame has no rust at all. The stem doesn't have any rust. The headset's the original. The only little bit of rust is a bit of patina underneath where I guess it's been scratched at some point. It looks quite cool, actually. Just here, there's a little bit of patina. So that's kind of it, really, in 10 years. So I would say I'm obviously doing something quite well to look after it. And the bike is amazing. I love it. So it's just, yeah, really good. I would say, I mean, we've done some videos where people don't necessarily agree with my cleaning schedule, or they don't agree with some things that I'm doing, but I look after Bromptons on a weekly basis. And this is an example of how I look after my Brompton. I'm a bike mechanic with 16 years experience. I don't read forums. I don't generally, if I get advice from other people, it would be people in the industry. So I make my decisions about bikes based on my own experience. And I would like to use this as an example of how to look after your Brompton. So now let's talk about my next upgrade. As some of you are aware, I have a rainbow coloured titanium seat post. This is the original. Talk about that in a second. Scroll wave spring. I've done the chainring in the past, but have gone back to the 44 tooth. So what else can I do to this lovely bike? Now, there's lots of little bits you can change, like the hinge clamps and that. I'm not going to go down that route because I sometimes think if you make a bike too blingy, it sometimes doesn't look great. But it's each to their own, because if it's your bike and you want to do it up, it's up to you. So on the weekend just gone, we went to the Western Brompton Club, and we know one of the members, and he's got a T-line, so a titanium Brompton. And we asked him, we said, please, please, please bring this along to the meet because we want to see it. Now, I picked this thing up, Sarah picked this thing up. I can't believe it. It feels like you're picking up an ornament, like it's crazy. So light, it's probably half the weight of this bike almost. It's nuts. I absolutely loved it. And whilst they are quite a bit of money, £4,750, we can't really warrant spending that on a bike at the moment. Also, I love this bike, and as you see, it's in really good condition, so I don't necessarily want to repeat this bike. So what can I do as a little ode to the T-line? Well, there's only one thing I can do, really. Titanium seat post. I need to have a titanium rear triangle. Yes. The bike's booked in with Brilliant Bikes, who have a great YouTube channel and a great resource for Brompton parts. Is who we buy all our Brompton parts from. It's going this weekend to have the rear triangle replaced to titanium. Now, there's not anything especially wrong with this rear triangle. I don't necessarily need the upgrade. I'm kind of interested in making the bike a little bit lighter because I'm really using the bike a lot, and it'll just be quite nice. The rear triangle on the Brompton, I've had to cut the mudguard, which we've had in another video, because the bridge rusts, which I've always been on top of. So I will keep this rear triangle. It's not going to go anywhere, but yeah, it's getting fitted with a nice new rear triangle. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's something I've been thinking about for years. This triangle on the raw Brompton, the raw finish, has all the welds exposed. So it's like, whether the titanium is just a brushed finished, it is a Brompton one. I'd like to say that. The reason why I'm taking it to Brilliant Bikes is they supply the Brompton parts, and under their contract with Brompton, they fit it. And I'm happy to outsource that work, because I always outsource the kind of hinges and everything with a Brompton, because it's work where there are other people that are better placed for it, and I don't mind knowing my limitations with certain jobs, and it's good to work in partnership with people on these things. So I'm really happy that they're going to be doing the work. The bike's going to look a bit different. I think it's going to actually look nicer, but I have been in my head a bit like, oh, I'm getting rid of the gold welds. Probably I shouldn't really overthink it and just do it. So just tell myself to shut up. But anyway, so I'm really excited. The Brompton's kind of getting another going over, say, for another 10 years. Let's think about that. New hinges, because they've not been done before. New rear pivot hinge, and a nice new rear titanium triangle. Also, the reason why this seat post is on there is if they need to put it in the stand, they can grab this seat post as opposed to my nice rainbow seat post. So let me know what you think. Is this an exciting upgrade? Is it worth it, do you think? Remember, this is an official Brompton rear triangle that's used on their super light models. It's not some cheap thing that you can get outside. It's proper, because I've mentioned in all our videos, that's what we like to do. If we're going to spend the money, we'll do these upgrades. It was an expensive bike, and I want to do things properly, and it's going to be fitted by a reputable company. So Let me know what you think. Is it worth it? What do you think of the condition of the lovely Brompton after almost 10 years of constant use? It's a great bike. I love it. Thanks for watching and please subscribe.